Okay, so here's the next segment. Right, so first of all, we're going to have to jack the car up, right? Now, I've only got one of these kind of cheap 2-ton jacks. So you put it a little bit farther down like that, and then you can get your jack stand under there. You absolutely, absolutely don't want to work without a jack stand. And what you want to do is, once you get the jack stand under there, you want to gently lower the car onto the stand so it doesn't, doesn't move. Because otherwise these things can, fail suddenly without warning. And, people have told me that they've had these things, even if this was under, they've seen it fall onto the jack stand because the jack failed and then slip off onto the ground and kaboom, right? Luckily, no one was under there. Okay, so anyways, just a little safety point there. Now, getting over to all this, like I told you, I broke these nuts free with a breaker bar before I jacked the car up. You get the car up, take them off and everything, not a big deal. There's a couple of things you got to do here. You got this hose, right? You got this brake hose. Wait a second, I'm just kind of putting things back now that I got it all done. Oh, okay, but like basically this thing is like in here, whatever. And then there's this clip here that holds it on, right? And you kind of got to work the clip off using a screwdriver, although you might have a little bit of trouble getting leverage, so you're just gonna have to play with that until you can get it off. Hi, Manishma. Another thing is there's this thing back here that has to come off, but you can't really get into it. It's very hard to get access to it when everything's put together. So what I did is I actually removed these bolts here and took this off of here first. Basically what you're gonna have to do, you have this thing which blocks access to this bolt, so you got to take this out, take that off there, right? Once that's off of there, then what you're going to do is you're going to get your let's see what I got here. You're going to get your ratchet. Where's my freaking, oh, that's the right size. That's 17 millimeter. Okay, give me a second. I'll put this back together. What you're going to do is you're going to basically put your ratchet on one side over here, and I'm going to have to put this down for a second. Alright. Right, so you're going to put your ratchet over here on one side, and then you're going to need a spanner on this side to hold this in, to hold this in place, right, so that the nut doesn't move, and then you're just going to take it out. It's a little bit hard to get out. I live in a place where there's basically no snow, and so there's no salt on the road, so this was really easy. But I still had to use a breaker bar. To bust this loose, even though there's basically zero rust. So yeah, go out and buy a breaker bar, because you will not be able to get this job done without, at the minimum, a breaker bar. If you live in a place where there's a bunch, it gets real cold and there's salt on the roads and you got a bunch of rust, I don't know, even a breaker bar might not be able to help you. So yeah, you can try though. But anyways, getting back to my point over here, so I had to take these two bolts out first, right? And then I had to get back around under here so I could get access with my breaker bar and knock this loose. But, there's something you got interesting here. This is a ball joint here, right? And the ball joint might be a little bit loose, right? So once you break that nut loose, it might kind of spin real easy. So I found an interesting trick to help with that, which is, first of all, you're going to spray some WD-40 on this bolt here. WD-40 on there, let it soak for a minute or two. And then a real weird thing I found, your mileage may vary, because what was happening is that I'm turning this and the whole bolt turns, right? Because basically what the only thing on the other side is this ball joint. What I found real interesting is if I kind of wiggle it back and forth and then do that. Wiggle it back and forth and do that. I'm able to get it off. You know, I put this on here, you know, kind of wiggle it back and forth and go. Wiggle it back and forth and go. And, you know, so, well, anyways, that's how I'm getting that thing off, and that seems to work. WD-40 plus wiggle back and forth, and then a quick, you know, turn, and it comes off like that. All right, that's this part. Now we'll get to the next part. Now, another important thing here is that when you're taking these bolts out, I took out, you know, I loosened them all up, took 2 of them off completely, and now I'm leaving one. I left one in on, you know, a couple of turns so that the strut doesn't fall down here, you know, and just bust shit up, you know, especially this this brake hose right here, right? So what I'm going to do when I take it out is I'm going to hold this thing in my hand, right? I'm going to hold this thing up, and then I'm going to take and loosen this last bolt up by hand, the last, like, you know, 2 or 3 turns, and hold this thing up so it doesn't come crashing down and bust anything. So I think that's probably an important point to make. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also the other thing, this thing, once I got it, you know, completely loosened up with my wiggly, you know, shake it just a little bit thing. There's a song like that, isn't there? But anyways, then you take a rubber mallet and just knock it out of there, and it's okay. So anyways, I'm going to get to it.